Car companies don't advertise their kill count, but the Audi 5000 proved that sometimes the car decides when to accelerate. 700 accidents, 6+ deaths, 0 driver input required. Unfortunately, engineers had been building death traps long before. Stay until the end to see the ultimate killer machine. Picture this. It's 1970, and AMC decides to compete with the Volkswagen Beetle by literally chopping a car in half. The result? A stubby disaster that looked like someone forgot to finish building it. On paper, shorter meant cheaper and more efficient. In reality, AMC had created a rolling physics experiment in what happens when you prioritize cost over occupant safety. The Gremlin's abbreviated design wasn't just ugly, it was genuinely dangerous. Its short wheelbase created handling instability, and the truncated design left minimal crumple zones. Even by 1970s standards, the safety features were basic at best. The lightweight construction that should have made it efficient instead compromised protection in almost every accident scenario. AMC discontinued the Gremlin in 1978, when sales plummeted and safety regulations tightened. The company learned that chopping cars in half doesn't create compact efficiency, it creates compact coffins. And that's just the beginning. Wait until you see what communist engineers considered safe enough. What happens when a government builds cars with the same enthusiasm they show for customer service? East Germany answered that question with the Trabant, a car so unsafe it made bicycle riding look like armored transport. Thing is, the Trabant wasn't designed to be safe, it was designed to exist. In communist East Germany, having any car was considered luxury, even if that car was essentially a motorized death wish. The Trabant featured a 2-stroke engine that produced more toxic emissions than actual power. Its body panels were made of compressed cardboard and resin, essentially sophisticated papier-mâché. Safety features? Absolutely none. No crumple zones, minimal crash protection, and a pathetic 26 horsepower struggling to move 1,300 pounds of communist engineering. Citizens waited over a decade to buy a Trabant, not because it was desirable, but because it was literally the only option. The car became a symbol of communist engineering, functional in theory, fatal in practice. Production ended in 1991 when Germany reunified and East Germans got their first taste of actual automobiles. The Trabant couldn't compete with cars that prioritized keeping occupants alive. Think that's bad? Just wait till you see what happens when American designers have a midlife crisis. Everyone remembers the Aztec for looking like a refrigerator had relations with a minivan. But here's what they don't tell you. Underneath that hideous exterior lurked genuine safety compromises that made it dangerous beyond just aesthetic assault. Pontiac was so focused on creating a lifestyle vehicle for outdoor enthusiasts that they forgot the most important outdoor activity, surviving the drive there. The Aztec's compromised sightlines due to chunky design elements created dangerous blind spots. Heavy plastic cladding didn't just look terrible, it obscured critical visibility. Its awkward proportions affected handling dynamics, making emergency maneuvers unpredictable. Early IIHS evaluations showed poor crash test ratings that shocked even Pontiac executives. The Aztec appeared on multiple worst cars ever lists, not just for its looks but for fundamental design flaws that prioritized form over function, and got both spectacularly wrong. Pontiac killed the Aztec in 2005 after selling only 119,000 units over 4 years. The car proved that even bad publicity isn't good publicity when your product actively endangers customers. You might think modern cars would be safer, but number 7 is still on dealer lots today. What if I told you that one of the deadliest cars on this list is still being sold today? The Hyundai Venue proves that modern doesn't automatically mean safe. Here's the brutal truth. All the airbags and sensors in the world can't overcome basic physics. When a 2,600-pound Venue meets a 6,000-pound truck, mass wins every time. The Venue's subcompact size creates inherent vulnerability in collisions. Despite its modern safety tech, it shows high fatal accident rates in real-world scenarios. The physics problem becomes apparent when examining its performance in actual crash scenarios rather than laboratory tests. Despite 5-star NHTSA ratings in controlled tests, real-world data shows the venue struggling in mixed traffic where size and weight disparities create deadly mismatches. Unlike the others on this list, the venue remains in production because manufacturers have learned to game safety tests while ignoring real-world physics. A modern tragedy disguised as progress. If you think that's concerning, wait until you see how low manufacturers will go to hit a price point. Mitsubishi built the Mirage with one goal: be the cheapest car in America. Unfortunately, they achieved that goal by cutting everything that keeps you alive. On paper, lighter means better fuel economy. In reality, Mitsubishi had created a car so flimsy that shopping carts provided better crash protection. The Mirage's ultra-lightweight construction, under 2,100 pounds, makes it inherently vulnerable. Minimal safety equipment keeps costs down, but survival rates too. Its poor structural integrity in crash tests translates to alarming statistics. High fatal accident rates per mile driven. Insurance companies noticed the pattern first. Mirage drivers were dying at rates that made actuaries nervous. The car was cheap to buy but expensive to survive. The Mirage continues production because there's always a market for cheap transportation, even when that transportation doubles as a high-speed coffin. Mitsubishi learned that some customers will sacrifice safety for a low monthly payment. Next up, a legendary American icon with a deadly secret hiding behind its horsepower. This one's controversial. The Corvette isn't poorly built, it's brilliantly engineered. But here's the deadly truth. Statistics don't lie, and the numbers for America's sports car are genuinely terrifying. Thing is, the Corvette isn't dangerous because of bad engineering. It's dangerous because of good engineering. When you give 650-plus horsepower to weekend warriors, physics gets involved. The statistics are alarming. 9.8 fatal accidents per billion miles driven, far exceeding industry averages. Its high-performance capabilities routinely exceed driver skill levels. The rear-wheel drive dynamics punish even minor mistakes with catastrophic consequences. And perhaps most crucially, it attracts a risk-taking driver demographic that compounds the danger. Insurance data reveals the brutal truth. Corvettes kill their drivers at rates that dwarf supposedly unsafe cars. The problem isn't the machine. It's the massive gap between capability and competence. Chevrolet will never discontinue the Corvette because the deaths aren't from defects, they're from driver error. The car delivers exactly what it promises, enough performance to exceed your abilities. But at least Corvette buyers know what they're getting into. Number 4, preyed on budget-conscious families. By 2012, Kia had shed its reputation for cheap, unreliable cars. But the third-generation Rio proved that some lessons need to be learned twice, preferably not at highway speeds. Kia focused so heavily on improving reliability and design that they forgot the most important feature: keeping occupants alive when things go wrong. The 2012-2014 Rio had significant safety feature gaps compared to competitors at the same price point. Its weak structural protection and side impacts became evident in real-world crashes. The car performed poorly in IIHS small overlap tests, a critical measure of frontal crash protection, and its subcompact size created inherent vulnerability in mixed traffic collisions. Safety organizations quickly identified the Rio as among the most dangerous vehicles in its class, with collision data backing up the laboratory concerns. Kia discontinued this generation Rio in 2014 and completely redesigned the next version with enhanced safety features. The company learned that cutting safety corners isn't worth the liability exposure. As bad as that sounds, it's luxury engineering compared to what's coming next. In 1985, America got its cheapest car ever, the Yugo GV at $3,990. Unfortunately, you got exactly what you paid for: a Yugoslav death trap that made bicycle helmets seem like overkill. Malcolm Bricklin imported the Yugo thinking Americans wanted European engineering at third-world prices. What they got was third-world engineering at any price. The Yugo featured extremely cheap construction with minimal safety features. Its body panels were so thin they dented from aggressive washing. The braking systems routinely failed in emergency situations. And forget about crumple zones or impact protection. The Yugo's crash strategy was good luck. The Yugo became a cultural punchline, but the jokes stopped being funny when people realized the car was genuinely dangerous. Build quality was so poor that structural failures occurred during normal driving. Yugo America folded in 1992 after selling 141,000 units and facing countless lawsuits. The Yugoslav Civil War ended production, but the car was already dying from its reputation as a four-wheeled suicide machine. Before we reveal the top 2 killers, I need to ask you something important. Do you appreciate learning about these automotive nightmares? These deadly machines have claimed countless lives, and the next car on our list actually calculated the cost of your life down to the dollar. Hit subscribe and like right now if you want to see more automotive history that manufacturers try to hide. And tell me in the comments, would you ever drive a car known to be dangerous if the price was right? The Ford Pinto didn't just make this list. It wrote the textbook on automotive negligence. This wasn't accidental danger. This was calculated risk-taking with human lives as collateral damage. Here's the chilling part. Ford engineers identified the problem early, but executives ran a cost-benefit analysis. They determined that paying death settlements was more profitable than installing an $11 safety fix. The Pinto's fuel tank was positioned behind the rear axle, making it vulnerable in rear-end collisions. When struck from behind, the tank would rupture and ignite, creating deadly infernos. Ford knew about the defect, but calculated lawsuits were cheaper than fixes. At least 27 deaths were attributed directly to fuel tank fires, with many more injuries. Internal Ford memos revealed the company valued human life at $200,000 per death versus $11 per car for the fix. When those documents became public, it created the blueprint for corporate liability law. Ford discontinued the Pinto in 1980 after years of lawsuits, criminal charges, and public outrage. The car proved that sometimes companies need legal consequences to prioritize customer safety over quarterly profits. But even Ford's calculated negligence pales compared to our #1 killer's terrifying unpredictability. Picture this. You're backing out of your driveway when your car suddenly decides to accelerate full throttle into your garage door. You're not touching the gas pedal. Your foot is on the brake. But the car doesn't care. It's trying to kill you. Thing is, Audi built a legitimately good car. The 5000 was advanced, luxurious, and technically sophisticated, but all that engineering excellence became irrelevant when drivers couldn't predict if their car would obey commands. The Audi 5000 was linked to over 700 unintended acceleration accidents, resulting in at least 6 confirmed deaths. Its shifting mechanism and pedal placement contributed to driver confusion in emergency situations. But most terrifyingly, electronic throttle issues caused complete loss of control at unpredictable moments. CBS's 60 Minutes investigation in 1986 showed an Audi 5000 accelerating on its own, crushing Audi's reputation overnight. Sales plummeted 80% as Americans learned their family sedan could become a guided missile. The phrase unintended acceleration entered popular vocabulary because of the Audi 5000. The car single-handedly created modern automotive liability law and forced manufacturers to prioritize predictable behavior over clever engineering. Audi discontinued the 5000 nameplate in 1988 and spent the next decade rebuilding their reputation. The car taught the industry that advanced technology means nothing if customers can't trust their car to stop when they want it to. Which of these automotive death traps shocked you most? Let us know in the comments what other dangerous car histories you'd like us to uncover. Hit subscribe for more automotive dark secrets and drive safe out there. And drive safe out there. And drive